How's it going, everybody? This is Alex Caceres, and you're listening to Story of the Fight.
What is up, Will? Welcome,
What
everybody, to Story of the Fight. My name is Ramiro. That's my boy, Will. And this is where we talk all things combat sports. Today, we're going to be covering UFC Vegas. Which one is it? There's so many. 98. Come on, man. Let's get out of the Apex already. But before we do, just want to remind everybody, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Goes a long way. We're trying to reach 20,000 subscribers. We're steady climbing. We're past the 15,000 mark. So we're getting there, Will.
We're getting there. Shout out. Thanks to all of you, like Genevieve. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I don't know how many people are going to be tuning in for UFC Vegas 98 recap, but shout out to Genevieve for tuning in.
Well, all I know is that if there's any blood whatsoever in any one of the fights, Genevieve might be tuning in. High probability.
Yeah, and there was some blood.
There was. She was excited about it, I am sure. But yes,
Yeah.
so Will, if they don't want to subscribe on YouTube, though, they can find us where else?
Yeah, anywhere podcasts are found, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts. We're on Twitch, storyofthefight.com. We'll list all of them: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit. Story of the Fight on everything at Story of the Fight. Makes it super, super easy. But YouTube's definitely where we reside the most. And shout out Ganskow's here. Shout out Blunderbub is
joining
here.
us. Absolutely. Yeah, the crowd did sound lively at the Apex. I will give them that this time around.
They sounded livelier than normal.
Yes, absolutely.
But no, there was a good energy.
Blunderbub says, shout out Vanderbilt. Please fill me in. What was those a bunch of Vanderbilt students in there or something that were making that crowd pop off? I don't know. Let me know. But yes, hey, let's go and get started, huh? Main event. Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Taira. Man, going into this one, I was excited, right? I'm high on Taira right now. He was going into this still undefeated at 16-0. Royval, we absolutely know, is a dog, man. No matter who he's tossed in there, he always makes the fight super exciting. He's got great striking. He's very good on the ground, dude. Off his back, he's absolutely dangerous, which I'm sure we're going to cover this even more. But yes, what'd you think of the fight?
Yeah, I mean, same thing like you said. Tatsuro, I've been high on for a while now since he got into the UFC. And then Royval, and stylistically, I thought Royval edge in the striking, Tatsuro edge on the ground, right? But Royval is so scrambly on the ground. Like we should see some cool exchanges in the grappling with these two. So on the feet, it'll be exciting. On the ground, it'll be exciting, and that's pretty much what we got, right?
100%. And look, this was a grappler's delight. This entire fight, Taira seemed a little hesitant in the first round. And he was getting caught sometimes, right? Like when he tried to enter, Royval had that quick shot right down the middle that would stun Taira real quick. So I could see why he was so hesitant. Royval had some slick counters, especially in the first round. And Taira finally gets a takedown at the end of the first, right?
Yeah. And you can see he tried a couple times, or I think maybe he just failed once in the first round and then got it at the end, right?
Yep.
But yeah, like you said, one of the things that like you mentioned Taira being hesitant on the feet, and one of the things that Dominic Cruz was talking about was how, Royval is very offensive focused and Tatsuro is very defensive focused. And he's like, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out over the course of the fight. But one of the things that he referenced was how Royval constantly switches stances. And that's something that usually it's offensively based, is why you're doing that. And you could tell Royval was much more comfortable in an open stance matchup than Tatsuro was, because like you said, he was kind of hesitant in the open stance because he wanted to jab, and the jab's not quite there open stance. It's different. And whereas Royval could start throwing that rear hand first, straight
Mm,
through, meet him in the middle, and then he started landing the lead uppercut. So he go left rear hand straight, and then a right uppercut with his lead hand, and it was just like pop 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 over and over and over again. And
money.
Tatsuro was like, "Fucking hell, man!"
Yeah.
Like he didn't find the uppercut until the third round, but that type of, I think that's what led to the hesitancy of Tatsuro, where he was like, "I'm still not used to fighting southpaws." Whereas Royval's like, I can fight. I know the weaknesses. Yeah, my defense might be lacking when I switch stances, but I know how to work that offense against someone who hasn't been in this game as long. Especially a
Yes.
grappler first.
Yes.
But like,
Blunderbuff says, man, both of these guys had one fantastic round each. Fun fight overall as well. Yeah. And that's so fun, dude, because like sometimes you have some fights where you're like, oh man, that was close. I wonder who it's going to. For me, I felt like every round was very clear who
yeah,
that round was going to. So going into the fifth, I was like, dude, it's coming down to the fifth in this one.
yeah, because the first round, like you said, Tatsuro hesitant, Royval really lighting him up. Second round was just dominant grappling from Tatsuro.
Oh, the body triangle for Tatsuro is so
Oh my
good.
god, dude.
Next level, dude.
And Royval was working well. Like, he was trying to scramble his way out of those positions, and,
Yes.
like, he was doing good work. It's
Turning his
just
body in the right direction. Then he
yeah,
was pushing the knee off to the side, right?
yeah.
And Tatsuro gets that, what was it, the half clamp, or what do they call that on the
The
opposite end?
Yeah, the quarter he would get the quarter Nelson where he would end up almost perpendicular across the back, where he would reach all the way over because he's getting turned to the side, right? And think, if I'm getting turned to the side, I don't have your back anymore. I'm on your hip. I can reach around your back, get that quarter Nelson on your far side
Yes.
arm, and use that as leverage to stop you from spinning me and pull myself back over onto your back. And it was
So
just
good.
beautiful, dude.
Power half Nelson. Thank you, Blunderbuff.
Half Nelson, quarter Nelson,
Yeah.
half Nelson, one third Nelson. Who cares?
Yeah,
It's
but
a
he
Nelson.
did a great job,
Yeah.
right? Using that to counter Royval's counter. But it was
Yeah.
such a chess match on the ground. And
Yeah.
then the third
The
round
third
came
round, dude.
around.
Third round was, if it weren't for Zellhuber versus Esteban over at the Sphere on Noche UFC, this would be my round of the year because,
Ooh, so
dude,
good.
This is where Royval found that left straight right uppercut, and Tatsuro was just getting clipped over and over and over again and hurt bad. There was one point where he kind of shot desperately, and Royval timed a knee perfectly that just
Oh,
stopped him in his tracks, dropped him to
yeah.
his knees. But then Tatsuro just, like you said, this was the big test. We've never seen him in this type of situation. How's he going to respond? Is he going to dig deep and come through? Or is
And
this
he
going to be the
did.
end? And he did.
He
And not
did.
only, but then he ended up on his back again at the end of the round. And you're like, dude, this guy is crazy, dude. I mean, even Fitzgerald was like, Tatsuro's never seen a fourth round before in his career. And he might not have to, because as he was saying it, he ended up turning the tide. It was only like 30 seconds
Oh,
left, right?
yeah.
But
So close to sinking in the rear naked choke, I thought.
it was close.
And
And
but at the same time, you're asking yourself, like, how much gas does he have left in the tank? Because at this point, he was looking
yeah,
pretty tired, right?
and
He
beat,
and
not
beat,
just
yeah.
tired.
And like you see him, and I'm like, oh, he has to sunk in. Royval reaches over for the hand and starts pulling down, and he breaks the grip.
Yeah.
Tatsuro almost sinks it again, reaches over for the hand, rolls over, and pulls it down. And I was like, oh, so close, over and over again.
Yeah, and usually you can grab, like, the rear naked choke this way, right? Where
Yeah.
you have their neck and then you put your hand on the back of it. You want to reach across the back of their head, but most of the time in MMA, because of the gloves, you push down on the back of the head and with your hand. A lot of times the person who's in the choke can reach back, grab that top hand that's on the top of your head and pull it over their head, and then you lose the choke. But when that happens, usually you'll switch from this, right, to
Mm-hmm.
this, and you'll switch to the gable grip, and that's a lot harder to pull back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're exhausted and you don't have the strength to squeeze on that gable grip, it's just crazy, man. You can't keep it going. And real quick, shout out John Dong. Sup, guys? Great name.
Sick name.
Um, yeah, sick name. But uh, I mean, that third round was legitimately eye-opening for Tatsuro, because there was one point too where he tried to go for a hip toss and
Yes.
ended up diving on the leg, right? And a lot of times we've seen people go for a leg in desperation, get stuck there, and then just get destroyed with ground and pound. And it looked like that was going to be it, because right when he dove for the leg, Royval just sat up and just starts blasting him with punches, and Tatsuro immediately ditches, scrambles to get back up, and then ends up taking his back. And you're like, dude, this guy. That was the moment where if you don't have that heart and that like will to continue in those moments, that's where you kind of fold a little bit and you get TKO'd, and it is what it is. But he did it,
Yes.
which is very
Yes.
impressive. You know, it's even more impressive.
The fourth round?
The fourth round, because
Yeah,
he
they trade a
got
couple of shots, and then he ends up taking Royval down again. And I believe this is the one where he takes his back. He starts working, trying to sink in the rear naked choke. Is this the one where he
up against
pushes
his.
off the cage?
Yeah, he has one hook in.
Yeah.
Royval is doing a great job defending up against the fence, trying to stop him from taking his back. He jumps the back, has a hook in, puts his right leg, which is going around around his back, pushes off the cage, kicks off the cage, drags him down, stays on him. Very good at maintaining top position in all these scrambles, Tatsuro. Like incredible. And this round, he actually started going more so, because if there's one thing I could knock on him is that he didn't do much damage in those dominant rounds, you know.
Yes.
Um,
Because
but in
he
this
was
round,
very much position over submission, right? Not to
yeah,
say that he didn't try to finish a fight, not to say that he didn't try to land some shots, but
mhm,
you see the exact opposite in Royval, where as soon as he has control on somebody, he's going for the armbar, he's going for the rear
yeah,
naked choke.
which cost him,
He's
right?
oh he stay yeah, it costs him, but he stays active at all times.
Yeah, but and one thing that really impressed me in this was the fact that they got into that same position, the half Nelson, where Royval was trying to pull the knee across his body to spin him around, right? And he goes across the back to the half Nelson, and then he reaches up with the top hand with his bottom hand, he's pulling the right arm of Royval down towards his waist, and with his top hand, his left arm, he just reaches up and goes bam, and just goes like 3 or 4 nasty elbows to the side of Royval's head, and I'm like, there we go. That's what
Yeah,
you need. You need to
yeah,
start really doing damage now, because not only is it about winning rounds and stuff like that, but the best way to if you have a dominant grappling round, the best way to continue that is if you were doing damage, because once that round's over, you start on your feet the next round, Royval's ready to go.
mm,
And if you can do some damage, get him a little concussed, he's starting on his feet, yeah, but he's not starting at 100% anymore.
yeah,
Whereas a lay and pray round, not that this was, but a lay and pray round, you start fresh the next round and you're good to go. So that was impressive to see. But Royval said, I don't really give a fuck about all that, because the fifth round started, and the dude, I mean, that's when he really put it on. And
yes,
Tatsuro really did tough it out. And like Blunderbub said, talk about a momentum killer. Super impressive taking all that punishment in the third. Uh, and yeah, I think you mean like taking all that and then still taking the
going
back
into the
and
fourth.
controlling the fourth and winning that
Yes.
round. So
So
you go
going
into the
into the
fifth.
fifth, and I
Yeah.
like at this point, I'm like, this it's coming down to the fifth. This is it,
Yeah.
right? I had rounds 1 and 3 for Royval, 2 and 4 for Taira. And
Yeah.
so I'm not scoring this like your boy Sal Diamato. I'm scoring this like I see it at
Yeah.
home.
Not
Uh
like you have money on the line.
no, I'm the professional couch judge. And I thought
Yeah.
to myself, for sure, 2-2 going into the fifth.
Yeah, and the fifth round was fucking awesome, dude. Royval, the cardio of Royval is so impressive, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I
Always
mean,
training in altitude.
yeah, granted, this weight class you don't see a ton of people gassing, but I mean, weaponized cardio is one of the things that is in Royval's arsenal. Ganskow says easily 2-2
Thank you,
going
Ganskow. I
into the
agree with
fifth.
you.
Yeah, I think only one person in the world didn't have this 2-2 going into the fifth. Actually, I don't know what did he have going into this, because
He had it
he's
3-1,
yeah,
didn't
but what
he?
rounds, do you know?
It was rounds 1, 2, and 4.
1, 2,
Yeah,
and
one,
4.
two, and 4.
I guess one is arguable, I guess, but not really. It's better
Mm,
at least he didn't give him the fifth round. That'd
no,
be
he did
crazy.
not. It was 1, 2, and 4 he gave to
Yeah.
Tatsuro Taira. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Eh,
Gansko says the gym breakup in Denver had me worried about Royval we would get. Yeah, you never know, dude. That's the gym drama can really affect some people. Look at Kevin Lee, right? Not that that was necessarily gym drama, but um, his coach dies, and like, I honestly think if that
He just
hadn't have
never
happened,
found a home after that.
yeah, and it was like, yeah, and that happens all the time. It doesn't need to be your coach dying. It could be a bunch of different stuff. But gym drama can legitimately
Yeah.
tank a career. Um, but Royval ends up taking his back, and he's threatening to choke because I mean he was really putting it on him there at the end of the fight. Um, this is like a moral victory for Tatsuro. I think he didn't win the fight, but there's definitely things he could take from this. I think this is a really good moment in his career to lose a fight like this. He didn't get knocked out. He didn't get flatlined or anything crazy like that. He stuck through it. He went all 5 rounds.
Stock goes up.
Stock goes up. He's still so young, and there's still so
24
much
years old,
future.
dude.
Yeah, it's great. This was his
24
first
years old.
loss. His first loss
Yeah.
was against number 1 in the division.
Come on,
That's
dude. And
crazy,
he
dude.
gave him everything he could handle. Royval said,
Yeah,
I thought I was going to come in here, in 2 minutes, be able to
yeah,
finish it up. But he said, this guy's going to be a champion, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get him there. That was awesome.
yeah, 100%. I mean, they trained before in the past, and he was like, "Anything you need from me, um, I got you. Literally anything. It's like a ride, a place to stay, training, like anything." And you're like, "That's cool." Royval's always been a cool guy. I've
Blunderbuff
always
said
really liked
classy
him.
interview, 100%.
Yeah,
Ganskow, he will still fight for the title at some point. I agree, man.
yeah,
After
definitely.
watching him last night, how can you not see that
Yeah,
this guy has championship potential?
dude. If he just, I mean, it's just he just needs time in high level fights, and that's what he got here. He got 5 full rounds against a number 1 contender who just fought for the belt and can learn so much from this. I think, yeah, he only gets better.
I mean, we'll see how the rest of this year shapes up. We only have a few months left, but I don't know. Your boy here might be tempted, for the new predictions episode.
Whoa.
We'll see. But dude, I was super impressed with this fight.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's very good.
All right, man. Well, that was a fun main event. We can move on. And folks, I don't know if you could tell it up, but your boy's a little under the weather today. So we're not going to cover too many fights because the last thing I want to do is start coughing and sneezing and doing all these things on the mic. So we're just going to cover a few more fights. But we got Dawson versus Garcia is another one we're going to cover.
Yeah, this was if we can get this Dawson moving forward, dude, I'm going to be very happy because what we've seen in the past, ultra dominant. He's never not been dominant outside of the one fight against Bobby Green where he got clipped. Outside of that, very dominant. Not the most exciting. But
This
this
fight,
fight,
though, holy
very cool.
smokes, dude. I mean,
Ganska. Ooh. Stepping on
look.
short notice for Ramiro.
Oh, I love it. I love it, dude. Stepping in short notice like Tafa. But yes, look, really quick, knee up, straight, right? Like he
Yeah,
did
that
that a
knee's
couple
nice.
times
Yeah.
to start off the fight, kind of throwing Garcia off a little bit. Spinning heel kicks from
Yeah.
Dawson. I was like, what?
Well, here's the thing. I think people are starting to realize this now. When you're an ultra dominant wrestler, you can go kick crazy. As long as you don't throw like naked leg kicks where you're open for counters, you can really go kick crazy because you don't have to worry about getting taken down. You can just
Mm,
you stay out of range, out of punching range, and you just blast people with kicks. Look at some of the
yeah.
Nurmagomedovs now that they're really good at that. And then once they close the distance, they're like, man, I cannot stay at this kicking range. I'm getting lit up here. Either they kick back and you can catch a kick and take them down, or they have to close the distance and then you can grab them and take them down. So it's like
Yeah.
it's very cool to see someone like Dawson start implementing that in his game because I think all wrestlers should be doing it.
Yeah, and then so he gets to take down the first, right? You have one. I think that's when he goes single leg, and then he uses his left arm to push back on the body as he's pulling
Yeah.
in. And the single is a beautiful takedown. But the most impressive part, hands down, was the ground and pound, dude.
Yeah,
Vicious,
finally. Finally.
vicious,
Uh,
and no waste of time. Hammer fist, straight punches down. He passes while
mhm.
Garcia's so focused on defending, passes into half guard. He's in half guard. He starts landing the left elbow.
Yeah.
Brutal. Slices
Yeah.
Garcia.
Yeah, that's the one right there that split him open.
Hey, good timing
Uh,
on the picture, dude.
and the blunderbuss thank you. And the blunderbuss his finish was like catnip for Genevieve. Elbow splits the head and bloody ground pound TKO. Chef's kiss.
So good. So
Yeah,
good.
and hey, shout out making the walk. What up, boys? How high do you think Dawson can go in a division with that smothering style? Dude, I think Dawson. I know every look. before the Bobby Green fight, everyone was on the train. Everyone was like, Dawson is a problem. He's only lost once, and it was like 2015 or something like that, right? 2016, I think. Um, and he was running through everybody. And then he fights Bobby Green, a fight that everybody thought he was just going to take Bobby Green down and smother him like he had everybody else. But Bobby Green clipped him. And then as soon as that happened, it seems like everyone was like, he sucks.
Yeah,
And
wrote him off.
yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's like everybody forgot his whole career up until that moment where he got hit by a very good striker. And it's like, dude, what do you want? Like, it's his one UFC loss. And since then, I think this was his second fight since then, right?
Yep.
Ultra dominant again with the finish. I think this was his first. This has to be his first TKO, at least in the UFC, right? I think very high.
Let me see here. Yeah, rear naked choke. Actually, hammer fist against Leonardo dos Santos.
Oh,
Rear
okay.
naked choke. Rear naked choke. Look, I mean, he's finishing people, right? Like, he might not be the most exciting fighter
Yeah,
in the world, but if he continues doing what he did last night, dude, sky's the limit. And look, let me read off top 15 in his division. You ready?
yeah.
Paddy Pimblett, Jalen Turner, Rafael dos Anjos, Benoit Saint-Denis, Renato Moicano, Rafael Fiziev. Those are the 10 through
Some of those are
15.
good. Some of those are good matchups for him, dude.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I think he can crack into the top 15 here pretty soon.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he was on the cusp, right, with the Bobby Green fight. He's now had two wins since then.
Yes.
So yeah, he should be right back there. Ganska says my paintball teammate is really good friends with Grant. Well, tell him we said what's up because I've always really liked Grant Dawson, and you know what made me like him even more?
His
It
wife.
wasn't just the finish,
She's a baddie.
dude. The
Absolutely.
post fight interview, dude. He
So
said
good.
my favorite thing about my wife is that she supports me and loves me, all that stuff, whatever. He's like, well, actually, that's my second favorite thing. My favorite thing is she's got a dump truck that I can bounce a quarter off of.
Bisping's reaction,
Yeah,
and then the crowd goes nuts. Those
yeah,
might be the Vanderbilt boys that they were talking
yeah,
about because they're like, yeah, like going off like crazy. You could tell that she thoroughly enjoyed the interview as well. Might have been a little bit
yeah,
embarrassing, but it seemed like she really enjoyed the interview. Dude,
yeah.
if
I
he
mean,
continues doing what he did last night and he continues being good on the mic,
dude, if that doesn't get him a ranked opponent, what more do you want? Someone who can
that doesn't,
smother
right?
and get TKOs, bloody TKOs like that against Rafa. Rafa's tough, dude. How many dog fights have we seen Rafa in? I
Yes.
mean, the guy's tough. So it's not like
22,
he
2 and 1 is his record.
yeah. And then he gets on the mic and drops that, dude. It's like, come on.
Amazing.
That's
So
like what more do you want from somebody?
to answer making the walk where he says, how far can he go in the division with that smothering style? Um, he could go pretty far, right?
Yeah.
Now we just have to remember he is in a division with absolute killers.
Yeah, dude, Shark Tank.
Again, as soon as he gets Rafael Fiziev, Matus Gamrot,
Even
Max
Vaziv's a
Holloway,
decent matchup, dude.
yeah.
Like,
But dude, we got some
dude, so
absolute killers.
Fazeev, the striker, coming back from an ACL surgery. What's his
Yes.
takedown defense look like? You know what I mean? Like
Okay, Matus
Jalen
Gamrot.
Turner, Gamrot's a fun fight, dude.
That's a
That
really
could end
interesting
up
one.
like Colby versus Usman, just two smothering wrestlers who just stand and bang because they
Look,
can't wrestle each other.
do do not give me Pimlet versus Dawson because I want to continue
No,
seeing both of their stars rise.
yeah,
Jalen
yeah,
Turner, let's do it.
I'm
Rafael
fine
dos
with that.
Anjos. Rafael dos Anjos is a decent name. If you want
Why
to
is he even
build
ranked though?
Dawson, I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. Give him Dawson. That's not a bad matchup
Yeah,
there.
that might piss me
Um,
off though.
Benoit Saint Denis.
Genevieve says, "Okay, hair dye is off my hands now. I'm here for blood."
So funny. Uh, so look, a lot of fun matchups.
Yeah.
Thank you, making the walk, for joining us. Great question, but I say let's continue his ascension. Let's be
Yep.
very selective on his matchups because I think he could be somebody that's very fun with that style in the top 15. Let's make it happen.
Yeah,
We'll call the
definitely.
matchmakers.
Yeah. Sean Shelby,
Speed
Nick
dial.
Manning. Speed dial. All right, we
All
can move
right,
on.
let's move on. We had Vergara versus Tamirov.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this look. We said we're gonna probably breeze through the rest of these fights on this card.
Yes.
We're skipping some that that weren't that great. And this fight was quick, and it was Temirov just swinging and banging. swinging out of his shoes, leaping at people, just like a savage. He's fighting like Wolverine out there, dude.
He seemed like a
Uh,
video game. You know how, like,
yeah,
on some of the fighting video games, you press hook and they, like, happen to, like, jump and throw the hook at
jump
the
it.
same time, like, all like, and they
Yeah,
cover a large distance. You're like, "That's not realistic." Until
yeah,
you see Tamirov, dude, and you're like, "Oh my
yeah,
god, he covers so much ground." That leaping left that he catches Vergara with, and he stuns him. Then he jumps in with a leaping right, and he
yeah.
drops him, and I was like, "Oh my god." Then
And then he
Vergara
chases him,
legit goes Usain Bolt, like, along the edge of the cage, and Tamirov leaps
dude.
again in with that right hook and catches him right on the cheek.
Look, I don't blame him
Excuse me.
because what else are you even supposed to do, right? But it will never not be hilarious, those types of sequences. What was the, Gustafsson fight? Same thing. Just
Oh,
Overeem did it once too. It's just so funny seeing someone literally run around the perimeter of the cage. So
dude.
funny, dude. But what else are you supposed to do in that moment? And to his credit, he did stop, plant, and then try to throw a big shot back and just whiffed. Um, and then, he got rocked again. And then what finally put him over or under was the body shot. He just prepped him up against the fence where he covered up, expecting a headshot, and then bam, leaps in with a long left hook to the body, and then makes him take a knee. Yeah.
Yes,
Blitterbuff
and
says, "Who watched tape of Temirov and told Vergara, wait and let him throw bombs at you so you can try to counter through the sonic boom." Yeah,
yeah, classic, dude. And
Vergara
Ganscow,
did
yeah,
it before
Vinicius,
too.
Vinicius Salvador, I believe, is the one
Yeah,
you're talking about. But yeah, he's quick.
yeah, he's
Not quick
quick.
enough, dude. Tamirov is faster.
Yeah,
All
running full
right.
speed does not beat lunging hooks.
Apparently, dude. Apparently. And yes, you got to give props to Genevieve to that liver KO. Again, beautiful adjustment because Tamirov was teeing off from Vergara. He was still landing some big hooks. He landed an
Yeah,
uppercut, so he was hitting him, and he just noticed, I'm not putting him down. Let me just go ahead and go to the body, and that did it. That did the trick.
that did it,
All
and I'm
right,
here for it, and I'm very excited to see what's next because that seems like a very fun action fighter, and we always need more of those.
think we have two more fights we're gonna cover, right?
Yeah, and this one will probably take a minute.
Yeah, we had Junior Tafa versus Sean Sharaf. I believe Tafa took the fight in short notice, was it?
Yeah, I think so. They both did. Sharaf, this is his debut. Hey, shout out Ghost. What up, boys? Not here for a long time, but happy to be here. Well, you're just in time to watch us cover a fight. Also, not for a long time, but we are
Not
happy
for
to
a
be
long
here.
time, but here for a good time. You know what I mean? And we had Tafa. Look, and one of the things that Bisbee mentioned was like, well, it's a short notice fight, yes, but you don't necessarily need to go through fights camps, because you're always training in
Well,
the gym, trying to improve. And that's true, but these are some big boys, dude. And I'm pretty
like
sure
Genevieve
that they're not
says, these are
necessarily
some big boys.
watching what they eat. You know,
Yeah,
look, Sharaf, his boxing in that first round looked pretty good.
it looked like a heavyweight MMA fight of a guy who has 4 fights. But Ghost comes through and says, "My goodness, this was peak heavyweight slog and quite embarrassing." Oh my god. I was sucking there just watching this one. Look,
That dude,
one thing that I really liked
what you
that I
like?
and I mean this with
Excuse me.
no disrespect to Junior Tafa. I like the Tafa brothers. I like what they bring
Oh,
to the
who
table.
doesn't?
Every once in a while, you need a heavyweight sloppy banger. Shout out
Oh, this was
Blunderbub. I know
one.
you got to call it a sloppy banger. Look, him staying in the pocket and pivoting and slipping like he's Floyd Mayweather when it's Tafa versus Sharaf is fucking it was that alone is what made me want to talk about this fight. Is just him. You're like, bro, what are we doing
He
here,
was
dude?
feeling it. He was
He was
feeling
feeling
it though. And then he's doing that, and then he goes cracks Sharaf real quick, and then
yeah,
he backs up a little bit, like leans off to the side and points at somebody in the crowd, like smiling. I was
yeah.
like, oh, dude, he's feeling himself right now.
And to his credit, the hand speed is there. He
Yeah,
does have some.
but the
When
best
he
part,
rips, he rips.
he's
I'll give him
feeling
that.
himself. He gets pushed back. He gets taken down. To Ganskow's point, zero ground game, zero ground
Dude,
defense.
that takedown
Oh my
up against the
god,
fence,
so funny.
Sharaf literally just grabbed him around the legs and just kind of slid down as he just slid his way down the face.
Yeah.
It was so funny,
Toph was like,
dude.
"Oh, this is happening. This is happening.
Yeah.
I'm going down slowly." Gets mount, starts landing some ground and pound, and I think Smith at this point was just like, there's a few seconds left. Let me,
Yeah.
I'll let him ride this out, right?
Yeah.
Also, by the way, Smith, terrible job reffing. Tafa was
Horrible.
about
The
to be
fence
taken
grab.
down,
Yeah.
completely grabs the fence. The fence bends because he grabs it
Yeah.
so much to avoid the takedown, and then
Almost
he
pulls it
lets him
down.
continue. Once they break, not when Smith breaks it, once they break, he's like, time, time, time. You do that again, I'm going to take points. Like, no, dude, just take the point.
Yeah. Either
Whatever.
either you already stopped the action. Either put them on the ground or take the point. You can't
One or the other.
one or the other. Ghost says pivoting. I got some people threatening my life after talking about pivots. If you haven't seen the Twitter threads with Ghost and talking about pivots in MMA, dude, it's crazy.
Oh,
But
boy.
yeah, there was some great pivoting here by Tafa.
Is this when they were both staring each other down where Smith had to step in and say, let's go?
Yeah, he called for action because they were literally on death's door. This was like Kimbo Slice versus Data 5000. I was like, dude, one of these guys is about to have a heart attack. And then right after this is when Smith let Sharaf take 15 or so unanswered shots, but he was standing, so I guess it's okay. And then finally, Tafa hits him with the Marge Simpson uppercut after like landing like 2 or 3 more. This is like the poor man's Gustafson versus Glover Teixeira. Remember that when
Yeah.
he hits him with that rear uppercut, and he's like, "Oh, that worked," and he threw it again and it landed. And he's like, "Oh, I'll just keep doing this," and he threw like 6 in a row, dude. It was crazy. This was like the worst version of that. And then yeah, he gets the standing TKO. And yeah, Ghost says you're allowed one type of each foul. That is seemingly accurate, unfortunately. Like Derek Lewis says, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. He's like, anytime I'm hurt or I'm tired, I just knee him in the nuts, and then I get like a minute to recover.
Jeez.
But yeah, that was it. This was it. This
There
picture
you
also
go.
just hilarious to me. Sharaf looks dead, and Tafa looks like he just made weight for the first time in his career.
Rough, dude. Rough.
Yeah.
All right. Last fight. Let's move on here. Last fight
To
we're going to
something
cover
actually
Haddon
good.
versus Argetta. Haddon versus Argetta.
This was outside of the main event. This was my fight of the night, and it lasted all the way up until the main event. I fucking loved this fight.
Dude, Argetta. Jeez. The nonstop pressure. He's like a spider monkey that just can't peel off your back.
Yeah, well, I liked the pressure from Haddon a lot because
Yes.
Argetta, his style is pressure, right? He wants to walk
Yes.
you down, shoot takedowns on you, grind you up against the fence, smother you, right? And Haddon was like, I'm not going to sit here and try to take this dude's head off as he comes in. Instead, I'm just going to pot shot over and over and just walk him back with volume. And if you're a striker and you're facing someone who clearly wants to take you down, they need to, for the most part, unless you're very, very good or you're over committing on your strikes, you want to walk them backwards. And the best way to do that is to just throw shots constantly. And as long as you're not throwing outside of your shoes, trying to take his head off, they're not going to be able to get those reactive takedowns and duck under your punches if you just keep lighting them up. And shout out Ghost. All right, guys, it's been real. Till next time. Shout out Ghost.
Thanks, Ghost.
And 100 unanswered shots is a good time to stop fights. 60 unanswered is not enough, as seen in Jean versus Jan. Yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, so Haddon, just incredibly impressive to me. I'm impressed with Argetta as well because he stayed in there and he was getting lit up for most of the fight and
That
still
knee that
wanted
he
to take
took
one out.
as he was
Oh
going
my
down
god,
for the
dude!
takedown, Haddon perfectly times that knee right up the middle, lands
Yeah,
right on his jaw, turns his head off to the side. It's super loud. It sounds like a straight
yeah,
clap right off the jaw,
just eats
and
it.
like nothing.
Yeah, I
Like
think the
nothing ever
arm
happened.
kind of got in the way a little bit, at least as a
Oh, is that what it
buffer.
was?
I think it slowed it down. I'll say that
Oof.
because he still ate it straight to the face. Um,
Yeah.
but the way Haddon mixed it up and his takedown defense was incredible. Um, and yeah, just this was a masterclass in using striking to beat a grappler. which is
Yeah,
especially a
so
wrestler.
good.
And to see at that level, like this is like early days in his UFC career, right? So like, yeah, this is very promising to me. If he can just, a lot of guys who are fun strikers, the UFC doesn't match them up with wrestlers until they've capitalized on the hype of watching them fight other strikers in their run.
Yep.
This is like, hey, we got this out of the way early. Like we know this guy can do this. This isn't like, oh well, we still haven't seen him get tested by a wrestler. That's out the window. We already got it. We don't need to do it. Now we can go through some strikers, have some fun matchups. Um, but yeah, this was a straight up dogfight. I
It was a
loved
lot
it
of
at the
fun.
end too. At the end when they're just sitting with
Yeah,
each other
that's a
before
good
the
picture.
yeah, it's fucking awesome, dude.
Man, just the amount of respect, right, between fighters after
Mhm.
they're in there for, 15 grueling minutes.
Yeah,
It's
this was grueling, dude. That third
yeah.
round, and you compare this with the Tafa fight where that was like grueling for one round, and they're
Dude,
exhausted and they're
Dominic
just
Cruz in
standing
the
there.
Tafa fight said it so well where he's like, they had 5 minutes worth of cardio and they went 7 minutes.
Yeah, dude.
So good.
Very good. Very good.
Oh,
And one of
man.
them says honorable mention to Dominic Cruz, convincing himself that Gooden wanted to be up against the cage, getting his ass beat with knees and elbows because they're easier to see coming. Yeah,
That's so funny.
there's a reason we weren't talking about that fight. That's fucking
All
horrible.
right.
But
Well,
yeah,
those
this
are
was a
the
great
only
fight.
fights we're gonna cover. Do we
Yeah.
have a moment of silence, Will?
Yes, we do. Moment of silence. More fights on the moment of silence than we covered today. Actually, the same. Cody Garbrandt versus Miles John would have actually been very fun. Friend versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan also would have been very fun, but Friend missed weight. Also, Argetta missed weight. We should mention that. Your girl was supposed to fight Polyana Viana against
Mina
Corey McKenna.
Namorada? Yeah.
Yeah, she withdrew. Chris Barnett was supposed to fight Waldo. I was actually really looking forward to that because I love Chris Barnett and I hate
Yep.
Waldo, and I thought that was a very winnable matchup for him. And maybe Waldo did too, because then he pulled out, and then Junior Tafa stepped in, and then a hurricane hit Florida, and Chris Barnett was like, "Hey guys, my house is destroyed, so I can't
Oh,
make
sorry,
it,"
Barnett.
which
Rough.
sucks. But yeah, Gaskell, to his point, that fight has been rescheduled. But I think I saw, what did I see? Um, talk for me for real quick, Ramiro. Talk about Chris Barnett and why you like him so much.
Oh, because he's lovable. He seems so funny. His little dance moves whenever he's, walking in and out of the octagon. When he wins, that little flip he does, and he lands
Onto
on
his
his
gut.
on his butt, and he just raises his hands. He just
Hmm.
reminds me of some type of like cartoon character, like a
Oh yeah,
lovable
dude.
character.
Yeah, it's very good. And Ganskow says I'm talking about John Scarbrandt. Yes, that
Oh,
was rebooked, but I think Chris Barnett got rebooked, and then they just changed it to Kennedy and Zechiku is coming up. They're fighting on UFC 308 that got made today.
nice.
So yeah, that's a moment of silence.
Okay, and then bonuses.
Bonuses. We had Temerov for his
Oh,
video game
congrats,
punches.
Temerov. There you go. Yes,
We had Clayton Carpenter for he had a rear naked choke that was cool.
Clayton the Carpenter, huh?
Yeah, very good. Very good. It's like
I was
Peter
gonna
Parker.
say, yeah. Okay.
Royval versus Taira obviously got fight of the night. I thought Haddon definitely should have got a performance bonus. I think that's kind of ridiculous that he didn't, considering
Well,
he
you
went up
can't give
against a
them to
wrestler.
everybody, you know?
It's just crazy to me. Crazy
Yeah,
to
can't
me.
give them to everybody.
Gaskell says from Apex to pay per view, elite pull out. Look, man, when a hurricane
Well
hits,
done.
you got to pull out. And I think having Chris Barnett fight in the Apex is a travesty. He deserves a crowd. Crowds love him. Win or lose, he deserves a crowd. So I'm all here for it. But
Same,
that's it.
same. All right. What are we covering next week?
Next week, I think we have
Fluffy?
Francis Ngannou versus Renan Fajeda, I think, right? Is that next week? It sure is.
Oh.
Yeah, next week we got some good
Oh.
fights, man. Francis Ngannou versus Renan Fajeda. Cyborg is back against Larissa Pacheco. Johnny Eblen versus Fabian Edwards, the rematch. AJ McKee versus Paul Hughes is fucking awesome. And that's just PFL. We also have Fluffy versus Michelle Bejeda. Oh my God.
Rob
Rob
Font
Font
is
versus
back.
Kyler Phillips is incredible.
That's a good
Battle of the
one.
Jabs. Sumadarji versus my boy Charles Johnson. Jake
Very
Hadley
nice.
versus Brady Heistand is going to be very fun. Darren Elkins is
Oh,
back
the damage
against Daniel
Elkins.
Pineda as well.
Dude, Mateus
This is a
Nicolau?
great card, dude. This is a great
Brad
card.
Katona?
Yeah. Jocelyn Edwards
Wow.
versus Vidal could actually be fun.
Jessica
Jessica
Penn?
Penne
I'm
is
just kidding.
somehow still fighting. We
Yeah.
got Robellis back. Wow.
From Dallas to Spain versus Austin Lane.
Hey.
That's going to be a fun one too. That
Yeah,
might
that
be
should
another
actually be
one
fun.
where they also have 5 minutes of cardio.
Hey, there you
So
go.
hopefully it's within 5 minutes.
Yeah, hopefully no grappling. I want Robellis to win that fight. Gansko says, I might do fight companion for next week. Let's go. Genevieve
Ooh,
says, you actually going to cover PFL? We gotta. For that one, we gotta.
for sure.
Battle of the Giants. That's the
Ganskel, let us
lineal
know where you're going
heavyweight
to have the
champ.
fight companion.
Yeah, definitely let us know. Shout out Ganskow. But do you think it's kind of weird? Am I the only one that cares about this? That Francis is the lineal heavyweight champion and they're not even talking about it? That's a
No.
very good way to talk shit about the UFC if you're PFL and be like, look, this guy left with the belt. He is the lineal heavyweight champion of the UFC. That's up for grabs in the PFL right now. Not in the UFC. While they're doing their weird bullshit with John Jones and Aspinall and Stipe Miocic, we have the actual UFC champion here fighting against
Wow,
our
that's
guy.
a good call. Good call.
Yeah, Ganskow says, my channel, at Tony Ganskow. Shout out Ganskow.
For
If I have
sure.
time, I think I should be able to join that.
All right, well, that's all we're going to cover today. Just friendly reminder, everybody, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We're trying to reach 20,000 subscribers. Shout out Ganscow, Genevieve, Blunderbub as well. Ghost joined us also. We also had Making the Walk that joined us. And we also had, who was that one? That person that had a really good name.
So good, you don't remember it?
Yeah.
John Dong, dude.
John Dong. That's what it was. Shout out John Dong. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's so much fun whenever y'all join us live and we're able to chat it up. And hey, special shout out to you, Will, holding it down, not just hosting, but also the production in the background. Rich Casual couldn't be with us today, but shout out to Rich and shout out
Said
to
his back
Will
was broken.
as well.
I asked him, what do you mean? What kind of how is it broken?
Spinal. Is exactly what he said. Spinal. Fantastic reference. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another week of Story of the Fight.